So I had a viewer ask me several times now to show the garden again. Wanted to see how well it's doing. And I guess it's doing as well as can be expected. I mean, these are our tomato plants. I think she planted 24 of them or something like that. Problem is a few days ago, a storm came through, massive storm, and blew all the tomato plants over, including the sticks. It just knocked everything over. This one here, you can still see is kind of leaning over, that stick. It was a really massive wind. We came back down and we were going to pick them all back up off the ground, and then we broke one. It didn't, I don't even know if we got maybe two or three of them done, and then one broke. So we thought, you know what, it's probably safer just to leave them on the ground. We'll get some rot, I'm sure. I don't know, maybe not this late in the year, but we'll probably get some rot. But it would be better than all the tomato plants breaking, trying to lift them back up. So we just left them. Carolyn is the gardener, not me. I'm not into it too much. And now that we've started the carnivorous diet, we're really not into eating the vegetables either. So tomatoes is the only thing that we're really concerned about, is because tomatoes really kind of give us our flavoring for our meat. I mean, you can use tomatoes for everything. They don't have a ton of carbohydrates, and it has vitamin C in them. That's the one thing meat doesn't have in it, is vitamin C, because when you cook meat, the vitamin C evaporates out of it. They say don't evaporate out of the tomatoes. You can the tomatoes. She's not feeling too confident that we're going to be able to can too many tomatoes. I mean, there's a ton of them on there, but for some reason she doesn't think it's enough. I haven't really looked at them. So as you know, we eat the meat products. We've raised our chickens. I've showed you the chickens a couple days ago. I think we're living quite self-sustainingly. I think I'm very happy with the where we're at in our development. We've been doing this for 2 years. Of course, I'd like to get a few more chickens, and we're working on that. We just incubated a bunch, and we're going to keep a few of them to get more eggs, and then maybe even do another batch this year. Maybe, I don't know, October. And then by the time they come outside, it'll be cold, but they'd have enough feathers that they'd be able to withstand it, and then we can butcher them in the wintertime. And I kind of like butchering them better in the wintertime as it is, because you don't get all the flies. Not much risk of spoilage, although, you know, you're only butchering for a few minutes at a time, but it does get pretty hot, and I just worry about the spoilage and the flies. So we'll butcher this batch. I don't know how many we'll get out of that, just the roosters. We'll keep the hens. We'll butcher the buffs, and of course, the viewers will not let me butcher Frenchie and Rue. They've demanded that I don't, so we'll get rid of them. So I keep talking about SHTF and preppers saying, you know, the only way to survive SHTF is to stockpile, and you'll have enough food to get through it. And I keep talking about living off grid and being self-sustaining, so you can grow your own food and you never have to worry about running out of food. Well, here's why. The other day, I brought you a video where I was talking about Beyond Meat, and that the governments of the world have spent billions of dollars. I think it was $3 billion, but don't quote me, $3 billion investing in plant-based meats. Companies like Beyond Beef, and I don't know, there's another one. But their stock shares keep dropping and plummeting. Nobody wants to eat it. So I think the US government has spent, I don't know, 10, 20, 30, 50 million, I don't know what it was. I'll put a link to one of those videos at the end of this video. You can watch it. And then just the other day, maybe day before yesterday, I was talking about that the FDA and the USDA has approved laboratory grown meat, petri dish meat, and that by the end of this year, they're going to start introducing it to restaurants. My guess is it's going to be McDonald's. The reason I think that is because Tyson already produces their chicken nuggets. So it would make sense to me that since Tyson is invested in this company, it's in Israel. It's called Meat Technologies, Inc. So Cargill and Tyson have invested in it. Well, since Tyson already produces the chicken nuggets for McDonald's, it seems logical that they'll trade out their regular chicken. I mean, I've been to their laboratories. I said that in that video. I've been to their laboratories. It's real white meat chicken. It makes sense that they'll just replace it with this lab-grown meat. And I was talking about the secrecy of all of this. The USDA and the FDA didn't mention anything about it. It's hardly mentioned in the media. I Googled it, and CNN wrote an article about it, not on TV, but it was an article. And then it's a bunch of obscure newspapers and blogs and different things that are talking about how by 2022, Meat Technology Inc. is going to start being introduced into restaurants. So I don't know. A lot of it's suspicions on which restaurants, but my real assumption is, and pretty good educated guess is, that we're not going to know that they've traded out chicken nuggets at McDonald's for this lab-grown meat. My concern is they've done no trials, no experiments to make sure that it's safe. I mean, they've done all the laboratory tests to make sure that it doesn't have salmonella and listeria, those kind of bugs. So it's supposed to be safe and we won't get those kind of diseases, but what is the long-term effects of eating lab meat? What actually goes into growing meat? They say, okay, well, it's actually, you know, they take a little DNA sample from a chicken or a cow, and they can use that DNA to grow meat. So it should taste just like the chicken and be just like the chicken that it came from, which makes sense. I mean, if we're cloning it, I guess it's cloning. I don't know what it is. But what other chemicals go into cloning? I don't know. I mean, how do you grow meat? And they're not really telling us. It's not like it's on, I guess, Discovery Channel. It's nothing you can really search. And why is it all secretive? Why aren't they telling us what they're doing? Well, it makes sense. They've invested, the governments of the world, including the United States and Canada, have invested into plant-based meats. And it was a disaster. It was a miserable failure because people don't want to buy plant-based meats. Now, I have not eaten Beyond Beef. I've never eaten it. I don't know how well it tastes. I hear it doesn't taste very good. But back in the 2000s, I ate a plant-based bratwurst, and it tasted terrible. It was the last one I would ever eat. I'm never eating it again. It was just disgusting. So the governments have learned that they can't advertise to you that they want you to eat this disgusting meat. Now, like I said, I've never eaten Beyond Meat. I don't know how well it tastes. It may taste just like meat. I don't know. But my guess is it doesn't. So there was really no way of hiding it. There was no way to really say, you know, just take the hamburger out of McDonald's and replace it with this Beyond Burger. People were going to notice. Hey, what'd you do? It's like, you know, Coke and New Coke. People noticed. But so my guess is this lab-grown meat must taste pretty identical to regular meat. You're not going to notice. So this gives the government an opportunity to say, hey, we can just switch out chicken nuggets at the McDonald's and they'll never know. I remember when I was a kid, my best friend's dad said, hey, I got this burger. You're going to love it. And I ate it, and I knew it wasn't burger. I mean, I knew he was fibbing to us. And of course, we're both skeptical while we're eating it. And I go ahead and eat it all the way down because I don't think he's going to poison us. I really don't. And my best friend, he's nibbling at it because he knows Dad's got him, you know, doing something goofy. And I get it all down. He said, what'd you think of it? I said, well, it was pretty good. He says, ha, it was beef brains. I mean, it was good. He didn't really have to trick me to eat it. I would have ate it either way. That's how I feel about this lab-grown meat is they're trying to trick the kids to eat something that they don't want to eat. That's what the government's going to do. They're going to treat us like children and force us to eat something. Which brings me to the Beyond Beef. So McDonald's decided they were going to roll out Beyond Beef in 600 restaurants throughout the United States. Now, the big deal about this is the Beyond Beef industry, the company, pays McDonald's and different restaurants to do it. As a matter of fact, there's a restaurant that I love. It's just an absolutely great restaurant. It's called Cracker Barrel. And they were paid to start rolling out some menu items with Beyond Beef in it. Well, today I read an article that McDonald's started testing this in November. And then they ramped it up to the 600 restaurants in February. And here it is August, and McDonald's said they're taking it off the menu. The idea is if it took off, they were going to go ahead and ramp it up to all the restaurants. Their goal was to sell 60 burgers, Beyond Beef burgers, every day. Now, I don't know if that's 60 burgers out of the 600 restaurants or 60 burgers per restaurant. Regardless, they didn't hit their goal even close. It was like 20 to 40 per day is what they were selling. So instead of just giving up, the government just keeps investing more and more money into it. So that tells me that the solution is going to be this lab-grown meat. And a lot of people keep referencing the movie Soylent Green. And yeah, it's kind of that way, where they're just kind of making a big secret. Soylent Green was a 1970s movie with Charles Heston in it. It was exposed, the world was overpopulated, and it was exposed what was Soylent Green. I don't want to give it away from any, I don't want to give it away, so check out that movie and you kind of see what I'm talking about. It seems like that movie kind of nailed what it is that our government is trying to do. Just sneak in some food that we don't want to eat. Back in the day, there was a lot of conspiracies that that the world was going to have to become one. I don't want to use these big words that they're using because they get me in trouble. Well, it really is coming true. So they're not really conspiracy theories anymore. The other day I told you Saudi Arabia is building this building, and it's like, I don't know, 30 miles long, 10 miles wide, and the tallest structure in the world. So it's going to be the longest, the widest, and the tallest structure in the world, and they're going to move their entire population into this building. They're going to live in there. No cars, no anything. So you're going to eat bugs and lab-grown meat, and you're going to like it. And so now we're seeing that Ireland and Holland, maybe, I don't know what countries it is, but there are different countries throughout the world that are telling farmers they can no longer use nitrogen in their fertilizer. So they're having to reduce their crops and their livestock by 50%. There's just no food. So this is the smaller governments are doing it already, and it's going to expand out to the larger governments. Larger governments are already forcing us to eat meat this year that's not actually grown from cows. So when we're talking about the differences between preppers and living off grid, which I've been talking a lot about, and SHTF. Preppers keep saying you got to stockpile, stockpile, stockpile. I keep saying you got to be self-sustaining. Well, here's a perfect reason why you need to be self-sustaining. If you don't want to eat manufactured meat, you're not going to have enough stockpile to get you through the rest of your life. You got to grow your own. So if you'll click that super thanks button down there, I'd really appreciate it. So if I can inspire you to grow your own, so you don't have to eat fake meat, so you can live your dreams. Thanks for watching.